How's it? Why isn't natural light, which is supposed to be the photographer's greatest ally, actually doing its job and enhancing your photographs? I mean, come on, it should be so simple, shouldn't it? I mean, it's right there for us to use. So maybe let's find out. Before we do that, a huge thank you to today's sponsor, PicDrop. PicDrop is an online sharing and proofing solution for professional and amateur photographers alike. Its ease of use makes it an absolute no-brainer when wanting to share images for proofing with clients. All you do is upload the photographs, share a link, and your clients can look at the images, make notes, share their revisions, and give you feedback straight away, eliminating all of the old back and forth with emails. Be sure to get your free trial of PicDrop by clicking in the link in the description box below. Don't stand taking photographs with the sun in front of you. Right, that was the first piece of, I suppose, proper photographic advice that I was given when I was a kid. I was allowed to put the sun behind you. And from that moment, light seems to be thought of as a way that you have to kind of use it in certain fashions. And because of that, we get sort of pushed towards light that gives simple, easy, and dramatic, instant results. So you know the kind of thing, the golden hour, God rays, things of that nature. Right? So that's our thinking. So it's not anybody's fault that we struggle as photographers to really get natural light to work with us in a way that kind of enhances the photograph, because we're just it's not how we've been taught to see light. So what are we supposed to do, right, with trying to see the light? How are we going to find light to actually use and recognize it? Right, so what I want to share with you is a very simple approach that I think is going to change the way that you think about light. Will hopefully get you over this hump of not quite feeling like the light is working for your photographs, because I feel that we often fall into this trap of expecting light to bend to our whims. As is the photographer, we must command the light, move it around. And maybe that's because, historically, photography, once we got inside, that people were, using flash powders and things of that nature to try and, to really kind of harness, and tame the light. But of course, that's not the case, right? Most of us, in fact, I would say pretty much everybody who watches this video, at some point has been at the mercy of photographing with whatever's available and trying to photograph the wrong thing, right? The wrong thing being here, you've got a picture in your mind that's not kind of lining up with the resources that you have available. I think, we need to address that problem. And of course, that problem is easy to figure out, because firstly, what light have you got to work with? I think that's the number one question you really want to be asking yourself when you're out there. Is okay, what do I have? Yesterday here in the UK, it was windy and grey and just horrible, okay, from a weather perspective. So if I wanted lots of warm glow lights and stuff, it's just not going to happen, right? Because the two are out there. So I need to be flexible as a photographer. So often when I was younger, it was like, oh, do you know what? I've got this very specific idea in mind, and I'm going to shoot that come hell or high water. And it doesn't work. So think about the kind of light that you have, right? And in the course that I put out recently, when we talked about light, when we looked about how to recognize and use it, the first question really to pose yourself is is this light active or is it passive? So yesterday it was gray skies. It was a passive kind of light. It's soft. It's not really got any sort of texture to it. It's got nothing. It's not elbowing its way to the front of the picture, right? It's like a stage. It was going on. Then you have active light. So that is stuff like golden hour. That's probably the simplest way of looking at it. It's light that the scene itself makes it look cool. It's playing a role in the light. I mentioned Alex Webb recently, a lot of his photographs that use shadow, that's active light. The light is casting a strong shadow in the image, so the light is active. Right, so that's a great way of thinking. So is it active, is it passive? From then, you can start moving in different directions because you know what you've got to work with. So what are the unique qualities of the light? Previous video, I was talking about, artistic expression, defining things. And I looked at Sally Mann and Nadav Kander and Todd Heido. And within those images, and if you were watching along, you would remember these things, right? There was a single kind of idea. That idea was atmosphere. So that's soft light, misty light, right? So they've leaned into that quality that light brings. Stillness, quiet. Just, everything's just very like cotton woolly. But if you are faced with dynamic light, right, it's middle of the day, it's very harsh light, right? Then you need to kind of lean into the qualities that brings. So I look at somebody like, his name's at the tip of my tongue, Herb Ritts. There we go, right? Herb Ritts. He's there, right? And one of the reasons why that's at the tip of my tongue is because I like to think of these as a conversation. So I'm not, scripted. How are we going to talk about things? This is us having a chat, right? So Herb Ritts, he's there. Southern California, he's looking at this light and he goes, do you know, the middle of the day sun, this harsh sun is reminiscent of that kind of 1920s, 1930s, George Harrell, golden era of Hollywood, very hard, studio light kind of thing. And he goes, I can use that outside. So he's recognized the quality of the midday sun, which I'm sure, if you're like me, a lot of people talk, don't take pictures in the midday sun because it's horrible light. You can't use it. It's there. And of course, do you know what? Of course you can use it. Anytime you want to take a picture, do you see where we're going with this? You can, so long as you understand the quality of the light that you're photographing in. So it's there. So, you've got the qualities. And if you want to, find out how to use light in a way that is, leans into specific qualities, then just keep your eyes open. Whenever you are driving around, whenever you are walking, right? Whenever you're just absent-mindedly sitting on a bus or just doing something, look at the light that you have around. Photography is a skill, and like every skill, we need to practice it, right? You get better by practicing, but you don't always have a camera with you, right? Despite the fact that, you get told, oh, by the way, you should have a camera with you at every time, right? Otherwise, you're not a photographer, right? We often don't, right? We can drive, you can't take pictures and drive, right? But you can look, you can observe. What's the light doing? How is it behaving? How would you take a photograph in here, in this environment, that made use of what it has? When you just answer that simple, basic question, then it puts you in the right direction to then use the light in a way that you are working with it. You're not fighting against it. And that is a huge step into at least communicating the way the light works. What you see is coming back at you in your photographs, rather than trying to shoehorn a mood or a feeling or a vibe into an environment that doesn't naturally work for it. I really hope you enjoyed that and you got something from it. If you want to see more videos about light, check out this video over here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.